Man, they took away everything from Resto Shaman. The spells, the passives, the wife, the kids, even the kitchen sink. Jokes aside, the pruning in Midnight can be brutal sometimes. Did they manage to hit the mark? Let's take a look. First, we will go over the changes really quick because there are a lot of them and we won't have time to stop at each individual one. First off, from the class tree, we lost Bulwark Totem, Thunderstorm, Totemic Recall, Lightning Lasso, and Therazane's Resilience and Reactive Warding moved from the spec tree all the way here, which are now available for every shaman. First off, the glaring loss of Bulwark Totem might be a concern, although it does align with mages also losing about 3 defensives. The difference is that most classes have 2, while we have Astral Shift and Earth Elemental. Not sure the trade-off is equal, all things considered. However, this is indicative of them trying to switch away from the bursting damage intake that we've been having for the last couple of years into a more relaxed healing situation that hopefully can get more healers accustomed and enjoying the healing spec as a role. So we'll keep our fingers crossed and keep an eye open for that. On the plus side, we have a few new tools with Windveil replacing Seasoned Winds for a better defensive when interrupting. Oh, and Resto Shaman is maybe one of the only, if not the only, healer with an interrupt at this time. Although not new, Tremor Totem is a choice with Poison Cleansing. Maybe this made more sense to put it at a loss. I feel like this change is coming from a place of monitoring talent builds over the years and realizing we hardly picked the two together. But that was not because they weren't useful, it was because encounters were designed in a way where you rarely needed fear removal, not to mention their previous positioning made it incredibly expensive to have both. Now we can never have both, so let's hope they never make an encounter or dungeon that wants both Poison Dispel and Fear Dispel at the same time. I'm not happy about this choice, no, since you have to choose between 2 vastly different utility requiring scenarios that are not inherently mutually exclusive. We have Spiritual Awakening for a random 3% mastery buff and a capstone in Instinctive Imbuements, which is one of the few positive changes. This makes all your imbuements apply from your water shield automatically when casted. Swell little keybind bloat removal. Before we hit the motherload of pruning, do us a favor and hit the like and subscribe button if you enjoy the content. It helps the channel and the videos grow and we can do better and cooler content in the future as a byproduct. Also, if you want to support us even more, we have a Patreon at patreon.com/Marcelian&Flame where we have exclusive goodies and early access to content. Cheers and enjoy the rest of the video. As before, let me list all of the things Resto Shaman has lost. Mana Tide, Cloudburst Totem, Spiritwalker's Tidal Totem, Tidal Waves, Undulation, Tidebringer, High Tide, Wellspring, Earthen Wall Totem, Ancestral Protection Totem, Master of the Elements, and last but not least, Healing Surge is gone as well. Obviously, this is all part of the pruning project, and Resto Shaman did indeed have a problem mostly with aura stacking buffs for its heals and amount of keybinds. Now, there are 2 issues, I believe, with this amount of pruning. First off, all of the keybind situations was relative since the keybinds were very situational and most of the time not used. You hardly ever needed Ancestral Protection Totem until you really needed it. Cloudburst Totem already had a choice node that simplified the gameplay, which we retained, so its simplification solution was already implemented as a choice before the pruning even happened. Taking choices away doesn't really feel very interesting and it makes for a poor progression and skill tree design. Now, the second issue is that we lost almost all passive damage amps to our healing spells. This is not just pruning, this is the nuclear option. Some of the passives had to go. Stuff like Tidebringer was whatever, Wellspring, albeit cool, can't remember a time I was glad I was casting it. Mana Tide was on its way out for 2 expansions now, and although Mana Totems have been an iconic part of Restoration's kit, this wouldn't be the first time class fantasy was attacked in favor of simplifying the game. But when we get to Tidal Waves, Master of the Elements, and maybe Undulation, we castrate a large part of rotational goals that made moment-to-moment healing gameplay have a purpose and a reward. They didn't get replaced, now we just press healing buttons. That's great if it was 2004, but we've been there, and as much as this has been made into a meme, in the last few months at least, if I wanted to play Classic, I would not be here. Ironically, Classic Shaman had even more keybinds than the unpruned Modern Shaman. A caveat here would be that the hero talents augment a large part of the missing passives, and maybe this was the intent. Put them all together and it's actually not bad. But then the hero talents become mandatory to complete a design instead of adding to it. If that's the goal, then I guess that's fine, but I'm pretty sure their initial take on them wasn't this. That could have just evolved over an expansion though. A lot of these had to go, sure, but some of them could have been made choice nodes, so you don't have to juggle all procs and buffs at the same time. Losing all of them and being left with Unleash Life and maybe Flow of Tides is incredibly underwhelming at times. Add to this Torrent and Coalescing Waters and we just have the same mechanic being reiterated directly and indirectly. Your Riptide is an instant heal and then consumed, only to be reapplied. In any case, we do have a few new things. Soothing Rain is a passive increase to Healing Rain, which right now, it has to be undertuned. It's beta, numbers are relative, sure, but this is tuned so low it feels like you are actively killing your party by casting it. It trickles down to the new Capstone Double Dip that has an interesting gameplay moment. But I stress this again, the Healing Rain and Downpour as an extension has to be impactful moments in your rotation, and although again numbers are relative, they are so low that they are bordering on unusable, for they're just healing numbers. Quickstream is putting more love into Healing Stream Totem, something I wholeheartedly support. Totems have been pruned way too hard, so seeing an iconic one get more power is actually really nice. Losing all those nodes puts some obligatory passives like Current Control and Calm Waters, probably to replace mana tide loss. Mana being managed actively, or at least deliberately, has been a mechanic that Resto Shamans have been doing for years. If the mana costs are a problem for the spells, just make them cheaper and put something else here that's interesting. This is just lazy in my opinion, no offense. One good thing is the upgraded Unleash Life together with Earthen Accord. If anything, this is the saving grace of Resto right now by adding a bunch of the old removed passives into one spell. It is pruned of course, but also restrictive to this one button. And without Unleash Life, it feels like my healing spells don't really matter too much. Again, it could come down to tuning, so stick around and we will keep you updated. Something that will always happen on our live streams at twitch.tv/Marcelian&Flame. You can catch me play all specs 5 days a week, and I promise to be less pedantic and pessimistic. Probably. Another positive change is the new Ascendance, which is a choice node with Healing Tide Totem. Why couldn't all of the pruning have been this way? The overabundance of healing cooldowns Resto had was a reality that needed to be addressed, and I would argue choice nodes would have been the best solution. But I digress. The new Ascendance is actually really dope. It incorporates some of the lost mechanics, like the 3 instant healing surges that Healing Tide used to give you by juicing Riptides instead to make chain heals and healing waves instant and apply additional Riptides at the same time. This goes great with the Riptide consuming playstyle I will go over in a bit. Healing Tide Totem didn't see a change with the exception of their upgrade nodes in First Ascendant versus Preeminence. These two will apply now to both Ascendant and Healing Tide Totem, giving you access to a healing cooldown that alters and evolves your rotation, while the other one makes it simpler without additional fuss. The hero talents have received 3 nodes each. Totemic has Totemic Momentum, a relevant upgrade to Healing Stream Totem that will make sense in a bit. Elemental Attunement, another mastery increase node, maybe because Resto Shaman hasn't really geared towards mastery in like forever. And Primal Catalyst, the passive application of Earth Living Weapon enchant. Farseer received Ancestral Influence, a way to make summoning more ancestors be interesting, although the bonus is so tiny it borders on the forgettable. Windspeaker reduces the cast time of your main spells, and Mystic Knowledge gives more power to Riptides and, oddly, Lava Surges as well. Lastly, to end on another positive, the Apex talents give me hope that not all love is lost for Resto Shaman. Stormstream Totem is their name, and the first node makes Riptide have a chance to upgrade your Healing Stream Totem to Stormstream Totem, a super roided out version of it that heals a second target with a base increase of 30% more healing. The second node gives both totems a 60% heal buff, and the last one makes it so you actually get a charge of Healing Stream Totem when Stormstream Totem procs, giving you more overall totems. The amount of healing buff it received for it to be a relevant part of your kit should point out how undertuned some of the heals are, or at least seem to be by just reading their tooltip. For most of the specs we have made videos on, we said that the playstyle hasn't changed so much that I was wondering if we were even real content creators anymore. Not this time. I actually have a no idea what the playstyle is because on the surface it looks incredibly simple, and it might just be that way. But beneath it has to be more, right? Maybe it's because the tuning is a bit all over the place, with the content we tested being beta and all, but it feels like I am missing something. A shout out though I want to give to Tidal for pointing out I wasn't leaning hard enough into the hero talents, which made me realize how much heavy lifting they did. The gameplay 100% changed when that happened and made it feel my spells were chunkier, so cheers! The pruning was massive and necessary on a lot of fronts, but taking away something basic like tidal waves and undulation made the rotation simpler, sure, but iconic restoration gameplay has been reduced to just the hero talents now. Ancestors replicating your heals and totems from Totemic replicating your chain heals. That's fine, but I feel less like a Resto Shaman and more like a Farseer or a Totemic. The Resto Shaman for over 10 years syndrome is kicking in hard when I reach for my healing surge button and it's not there. And when I hit healing wave instead, like I'm supposed to, it feels like forever for something to happen. And half the time it is very uneventful and just plain boring. Not using Unleash Life for a big spot heal or meaty chain heal will now be detrimental. It is early, but I did try to cook up some builds and play in some early M+ testing. By far the best experience was with the Farseer build, focusing heavily on Riptides and Healing Stream totems, since there didn't seem to be an incentive to pick any of the left side of the talent tree, or Earth Living totem talents for that matter. Mana was by no means an issue, but current control was necessary for Rip Current, something that made sense. I did have too many Riptides to use in a 5-man content, so likely this will be of more value in raids. Chain Heal was tuned way too low to be of any use, or at least interesting or enticing, and I'm not sure I would cast it at all with this build, making the Flow of Tides talent pointless, and likely better move to Crashing Waves instead, making Healing Wave the way to heal in AoE from the capstone Whispering Wave, so basically the current version of Resto on live servers. Ancestors duplicate chain heals, sure, but still don't feel like what Totemic can do for you. Speaking of, I thought Totemic would bring me to the other side of Resto with this build, and it did. Once I leaned heavier into totems, my chain heals started to do some real work. You won't get big meaty chain heals anymore, but rotating them with Unleash Life or Nature Swiftness with a totem, you can definitely do decent AoE healing. It requires a bit of prep time with setting up a totem first, and then prep each chain heal with their respective abilities that I mentioned, but never both together. Unleash, reducing the cast time of chain heal, is very important, and wasting it on Nature Swiftness that already makes it instant kills a potential second chain heal that you would get out in relatively quick succession. So once again, you cannot stack all of the stars for one big spell, but rather spread that over multiple ones. This is actually an upgrade and a move into a more ideal healing gameplay overall than I thought. I do have to say that Downpour felt underwhelming, and although difficult to tell without proper logging, Healing Rain feels mostly like an activator these days and not an actual healing source. Maybe that's intended. The new Apex talents definitely feel different with Totemic on top of their individual power. The totem aspect of Shaman seems to have come full circle with these, and I am actually a happy little totem enjoyer now. The build is actually bad, the one that you're seeing on screen right now, and I think I could swap from deeply rooted elements for maybe Coalescing Waters, or keep DRE and maybe find a way to get Torrent, Echo of the Elements, and Coalescing Waters, likely by giving up Downpour. The playstyle will turn into a Riptide blanket cover on the party for stronger chain heals, but might overload the rotation that already is taken up by casting a bunch of totems all the time. The possibilities are at least promising. I would be more pro pruning if we could get rid of talents like Tide Waters that heals for 7k on my beta character when I have over 400,000 health points. These pointless numbers make it a little bit awkward and counterproductive to understand what the value of talents are without simming, which I thought was the whole point of simplifying the game. I love Resto Shaman, and even with this version I enjoyed healing. Chain heals, moving away from big party heals to having value by being replicated, feels a bit counterintuitive for a new player, since I had a hard time as well seeing the value until I put 2 and 2 and 2 and 2 together, which the tooltip numbers definitely did not help. There is so much good stuff coming in Midnight that makes Resto Shaman changes look maybe worse than they actually are. And if you want a good look at good specs that have been drastically simplified, then you need to check out our top 5 list of the easiest DPS specs to play in Midnight.